Tonight on Reel to Reel, it's a great day for the Irish as we meet Philadelphia's own Irish tenor, John Gordon.
And we'll examine the black experience in music with Philly jazz band Billy Kirchner.
Father Joseph Glass returns with another moment in history.
Rosemary Bruno will put us in the know.
Dr. Rick Fitzgibbons will talk about senior citizens.
And we'll take a look behind the scenes at the Campaign for Human Development. Hello, I'm Father Dave McGowan.
And I'm Isabel Goffrey. Welcome to Reel to Reel.
Every year on March 17th, we celebrate St. Paddy's Day. And regardless of your heritage or nationality, it's fun to wear something green, to raise a glass and toast, and to sing a song in celebration of being Irish.
Well, it might be only November, but in our first story tonight, we're going to meet a man who celebrates St. Paddy's Day all year long.
The Irish pub's own, John Gordon.
Well, I think I've been singing all my life. You know, whatever these talents that we're given in life are gifts from God. And gifts really become gifts when you share them. And I find singing is a sense of reaching out to people. And it's a sense of sharing. At the Irish pub here at 12th and Walnut, I guess I'm going into my 4th year. And it's really exciting singing here. One of the things I get out the most is when people come in, they seem to forget their cares for the week, and they just sit back and relax and have a good time. So it's been a joy. Of course, there's the exhilaration of being before an audience. You know, I always try to feel that, or think rather, you can have all the talent in the world, but if you don't have the rapport with an audience, there's not much there. And I've admired a man, a singer all my life, who is a great singer of songs, Mr. Dennis Day. In fact, in the past 20 years, he and I have become very close friends. And he has always had that rapport with the audience. And he's still going strong. And also the feeling that maybe someone I'm singing to that night might be a little bit down the dumps, and maybe one of the songs that I'm singing might pick them up. Often I'm called upon now to sing at private parties. And for people, strangers, to call me and say, would you come and sing and be a part of our joy? That's a great thing. And it's quite exciting, and I thank God for that.
We're always packed when John Gordon's here, and it's not just because he's a great performer. John really loves his work, and I think it really comes across to the people.
John's my friend, and I work with John for quite a while. And even if he wasn't my friend, I'd come and see him anyway.
Sure, I love the dear silver that shines in your hair.
I never thought I would have to come to America to hear a good Irish singer like this.
This is fantastic. John Gordon is the best thing I've heard since I've been in the States. It's really something. Better than we have at home, I think.
Is not the air in sunshine or in shadow.
I love John Gordon. Me too.
Jason, Irish wine. For you kids, for the kids.
I don't think there's anyone in Delaware Valley, at one time or another, that has not been touched by St. John's Church in center of Philadelphia, right in the heart of downtown Philadelphia. So my job is to work in the field of development and finances. There are so many things in this materialistic world that are pulling people from the church. The church has to be open and available and have the facilities to say, here, come to us. We're here to help you. So that's exciting as far as development finances. And the other part is that I want to build a nucleus of volunteers to help St. John's. The staff they have now and the domains cannot handle it. here at this very moment, and certainly not what is coming down the road. So I'm looking everywhere for people to want to come down and come back to St. John's and lend a little bit of their precious time to be a volunteer for St. John's. You know, when I'm singing, I see my results right there that night. What I'm doing at St. John's will have a lasting effect on the lives of people, and it's a legacy that we'll leave behind. I've been connected with St. John's Hospice since the day they opened back in 1963. And although it's one of my most fulfilling things that I do, it certainly isn't one of the glamorous. I work behind the steam table. And, you know, working there at night and seeing these hundreds of men that pass by, you know, I always try to look at them and maybe just give them a smile, or if time permits, maybe say a word or two, or maybe just give an understanding glance. And when I look at these fellas out from behind the steam table, I can't help but think of the song, "Anytime you're feeling lonely, anytime you're feeling blue."
You're feeling lonely, anytime you're feeling.
People may say, why do you do what you do? You know, I think that could be best answered in a line or two from a song. Oh, it's not an Irish song, but nevertheless, it's a good song. And it goes something like this: people who need people are the luckiest people in the world. You know, I guess you could say that John Gordon is a pretty lucky guy.
May the road rise to meet you. May the wind be always at your back. May the sun shine softly upon your face, and the rain fall gently upon your fields. And until we meet again, may God hold you in the palm of his hand. Good night, and God bless you.
We'd like to take a moment to congratulate John on the success of his album, If You're Irish. The album has done so well locally that soon it will be distributed nationally.
If you'd like to obtain a copy of the album, contact us here at Reel to Reel and we'll put you in touch. Grab a paper and pencil, because at the end of the show we'll have our address and telephone number for you.
But right now, let's join Father Joseph Glass as he takes a look at the rich religious history of the Delaware Valley. Father?
Called the richest nun in the world, Mother Catherine Drexel chose to be the poorest nun in the world. Daughter of the millionaire banker Francis Anthony Drexel, Mother Catherine founded the order known then as the Sisters of the Blessed Sacrament for Indians and Colored People in 1891. While her early life was one of wealth and luxury, on entering the sisterhood, Mother Catherine took a vow of poverty. By this, she dedicated her life and fortune of $14 million to help improve the lives of blacks and Indians. As a nun, she lived a life as deprived of material wealth as those who she wanted to help. She traveled in coaches over dusty roads. She had her shoes mended and remended, and she would always try to conserve, whether it be electricity or water, and even small scraps of paper, which she would reuse. For Mother Catherine, her choice to be poor meant there was more for her to give to the needy, and this she did throughout her life. From the Mother House in Bensalem, Bucks County, her order conducted 61 schools, including a high school for black girls in Virginia, an elementary and high school for Navajos in Arizona, and the only Catholic college for blacks in the U.S., Xavier University in New Orleans. In 1955, Mother Catherine died at the age of 96. In 1964, John Cardinal Kroll began the process toward the cause of her beatification, a process which continues today. In looking back on Mother Catherine's life, we realize the great devotion she had for the underprivileged of America and the great love she had for God. I'm Father Joe Glass with this Moment in History.
We're going to take a short break, but coming up we have a look at a recent local concert that celebrates the black experience in music.
And Dr. Richard Fitzgibbons will be along with tonight's relationships, so stay with us.
Next spring, you can be a part of it. The 1986 Reel to Reel Tour of Europe. 2 weeks through Germany, Switzerland, Austria, Liechtenstein, and Italy. Hosted by Father Dave McGowan. Mark your calendars for next spring and watch Reel to Reel for more details. And be a part of it.
From the Irish Pub in Center City, Philadelphia, we now travel just a few miles north for another celebration of our musical heritage.
This time, instead of When Irish Eyes Are Smiling, it's Amazing Grace and Go Tell It on the Mountain, as we visit a recent concert which celebrated the Black experience in music.
While it may not be the kind of thing you would normally see in your parish church, this recent concert was all for a worthy cause. The first annual music festival of Most Precious Blood Parish in Philadelphia was organized by local businessmen to help pay some of the costs of operating the parish elementary school.
Soon I will be done with the troubles of the world, going home to live with God.
Money is always a problem in, I guess, any urban church, most especially the urban Catholic churches where we're also trying to maintain parish schools.
Father Victor Eichbach is the pastor of Most Precious Blood Parish.
The cost of education is just exploding on us. We're really working at trying to maintain our school against all kinds of odds. We're at a point where if we raise tuition, our people can no longer afford to send their children, and therefore they'll drop out. And so we're always looking for creative ways to increase our income, both for the church and the school. And the music festival today is one of those creative efforts to raise funds, and please God, it will be successful.
But much more than a fundraiser, the festival was a celebration of the Afro-American musical experience, from the gospel songs of slavery to the development of jazz, to the popular sound of today's soul and reggae music.
The Black experience is a musical experience because from slavery until this present day, most of our communication is done musically.
Mother Anna Brown is the director of the Most Precious Blood Choir.
And I think that because music is so essential in the lives of our people, you know, it gives us hope, it cheers us up in a most despicable living conditions many times. Music says to us, if we can live till tomorrow, it's going to be better.
Well, music is just so central to the whole idea of worship in the Black community. In terms of our Catholic worship, it's also vitally important. The whole history of the Black American can be told through the music that's developed that is probably the only music that is truly American. And it all developed out of a people's relationship with God.
The development of the gospel sound was only the beginning of musical innovation in the Black experience. It soon led to what has been called the only original American musical form, jazz, which was represented at the festival by retired Philadelphia jazz man Billy Kretschmer.
And of course, it all started down in New Orleans, and it's a Black beginning. When the Black musicians played on the riverboats going up the Mississippi, they would have probably stayed static in their musical context. But when they met the musicians in Chicago, some white and some Black, who had studied, who had gone to conservatory and made music their life work, then it went a step ahead. It was a marriage of two different schools, the New Orleans school and the Chicago school.
The afternoon was more than a musical event. It was a learning experience that combined music with the history of the Black American. Local TV personality Linda Munich filled in between the songs with highlights of events in Black history for the audience.
Back to the gospel music form. Yes, it's an old one, but people keep using it. There are new gospel tunes written still. This experience today at Most Precious Blood, I think, is very important in the changed attitude of the Catholic Church, in that if a hymn is sung to God or there's an expression of love for God, it's okay if you clap your hands and bounce with that expression. And I think it's very important, especially when a church lives in the neighborhood that this church does.
The church has always been historically the cultural center of any community, and we would hope that Most Precious Blood could be that cultural center as well as a place of worship for the whole neighborhood that we're here to serve.
The concert was billed as Most Precious Blood's first annual music festival. We wish them the best of luck, but it will be tough to beat this year's show.
And now here's Dr. Richard Fitzgibbons with this evening's relationships.
Today we're in the Wissahickon section of Philadelphia to discuss relationships with older Americans. There are many homes in this section, very much like the homes throughout Philadelphia. Row homes, many of which were once filled with the hustle and bustle of young children. Children who've grown up, who moved away, and now live in other parts of the city or the suburbs. Many of these homes are filled with the parents of those children. Parents, many of whom are sad and lonely. Like many psychiatrists, I'm seeing growing numbers of older Americans who experiencing the pain of loneliness and anxiety caused by feeling abandoned by family members. Now, why is this? Why do Americans abandon their parents, and why do communities ignore many people who live alone? Several reasons. I think the first one is that we live in a country that focuses excessively on materialism and selfishness. People look out for themselves too much first, place themselves too much first, and not loving relationships. Secondly, many people who abandon loved ones are angry. There's a bitterness from the past, a lack of forgiveness, or misunderstanding. They fail to understand that their parents loved them as much as they were truly able to love them. Now, if you're an older American living by yourself, what can you do to help yourself with the struggle with loneliness? First, in a Christian sense, appreciate that you're not alone, that you're never alone, that you're always loved. Secondly, participate in some of the wonderful programs that exist for older Americans. Become involved. Thirdly, consider going to family members and ask them, why don't they contact you? What's happened to create a division in your relationship? Now, if you're one of those people who's abandoned a family member who lives alone, be careful. You may be experiencing more guilt than you realize because you're not seeing a loved one. So I would suggest to you that you consider doing several things. First, consider changing your priorities. Place loving relationships ahead of work or selfishness or materialism. Secondly, consider sharing the powerful gift of love you have in your heart with older Americans. You may have many loved ones around you whose love is helping you more than you realize, and many of these people don't. So I would suggest to you that you call them regularly, that you see them and have dinner with them at least once a week. I don't think that's asking too much. The powerful gift of love that's in your heart is meant to help many of these people who live alone. And in doing that, you're truly going to help yourself.
As always, transcripts of Dr. Richard Fitzgibbons' message are available by writing us here at Reel to Reel.
We're going to take a short break, but when we come back, we'll have Rosemary Bruno with current events and a look at the Campaign for Human Development.
It's dynamic. It's really dynamic. The acting is top-notch. The staging is creative.
You can almost touch the actors. You're right there.
Innovative, exciting, unexpected.
If you're worried about your dollar, this is the best bargain by far.
Delightfully friendly ambience.
There's a chemistry there that makes it enjoyable to attend the theater.
An experience you'll talk about. Villanova Theater. For information, call 645-7474.
Many people find retirement isn't as much fun as they thought it would be. Too much time on their hands, too little to do. The Retired Senior Volunteer Program has thousands of opportunities for retired executives, housewives, engineers, teachers, whatever your skills or schedule. RSVP has something to fit anyone's interests. You've learned a lot in your life. Share the experience of a lifetime.
Good evening. Beginning next week, the extraordinary synod that has been attracting so much media attention will begin in Rome. Pope John Paul II has called the two-week meeting to exchange information about the impact of Vatican II. This week, we had the opportunity to interview Monsignor Richard Malone, selected by John Cardinal Kroll to accompany His Eminence to the upcoming gathering of cardinals and bishops. The Monsignor, a doctrine expert who sits on the U.S. Catholic Conference, gave us his perspective on the synod. Monsignor Malone, I'd like to ask you why you think the Extraordinary Synod has been called.
The Extraordinary Synod was called by the Pope to refocus our attention on Vatican II. The Pope feels that Vatican II is 20 years old, and it is time to evaluate the progress that has been made since then. And it's also time to recover some of the inheritance of Vatican II that was lost. And this gives us a chance then to refocus on Vatican II, to recover the ideals of Vatican II, and to review what was done at the Council and how church life has taken that up and let that come forth.
What do you think this will mean to Catholics?
Have to focus on Vatican II, and if it really represents the richness of Vatican II, things that have been forgotten or neglected, evokes them, brings them back to memory, then it'll be, the ordinary Catholic will feel this and experience it somewhere along the line, but I don't know if he or she will be able to draw an immediate connection between the synod and what's going on in their parish life or family life.
Okay, so therefore the results may be gradual.
The results will certainly be gradual. A misinterpretation I would like to react to is this. The synod is not a council, all right, because it does not have the participation of the whole body of bishops. It is more of a chance to report on what has been done in the light of faith, what is going on in the local church as we view that in the light of faith. And as a result, there is not that great move towards final documents and towards final solutions and answers to problems. Again, it's a chance to refocus on Vatican II and let the ideals of Vatican II, the light, let that come back into the life of the Church, especially in areas that were hard to deal with at the time of Vatican II. We have more perspective. We have 20 years gives us a little bit of freedom and allows us to see how much more we need certain things from Vatican II. So that's what I see the Synod as starting that process.
The all-important Synod will open November 24th with the Mass celebrated by the Holy See and the Cardinals present. The forum will close December 8th. That's the news. For In the Know, I'm Rosemary Bruno.
Thank you, Rosemary. Next Sunday, November 24th, is Campaign for Human Development Sunday. Now, if you don't know what the Campaign for Human Development is, well, then you should.
The campaign is a program sponsored by the Catholic Church to provide organizing assistance for low and middle income people. The variety of programs are tailored to meet the needs of each community.
For example, one program is the Senior Organizing Club, which serves as a watchdog agency, monitoring legislation concerning senior citizens and working to make sure they get a fair shake.
Another, one that we're going to take a look at right now, is called the Good Shepherd Neighborhood House, which teaches people how to negotiate problems without civil intervention.
On July 1st, I loaned Randy $500, and we had an agreement that she would start repaying that money on August 1st at $100 a month. And to date, I haven't received no payments, nor has I been able to talk to Randy.
For her, we had made agreement that I would
take out $100 a month, and I have not made that payment yet. The reason is because I am not working at this time, so it's hard for me to make a payment of $100 a month.
In this simulation, these two friends could have taken this problem to the police or to court, but they chose instead to come here to the Good Shepherd Neighborhood House in Germantown to settle their dispute. Sister Bridget Lawler is the director.
Good Shepherd Neighborhood House is a place where people who are in conflict with one another come together to have the conflict resolved with the help of a mediator. We handle small claims cases referred from the Municipal Court of Philadelphia. We handle family disputes, which come through the Family Court of Philadelphia, and we handle neighborhood disputes, which come from among the neighbors themselves and from the local police departments and area agencies.
Elaine Johnson, a neighborhood resident and volunteer mediator, explains how she became involved in the program.
I liked the concept. It was close to what I believed in. It was something that I thought would be an asset to all people, regardless of who it was.
When the complainants arrive, they are greeted by a receptionist who makes them comfortable while they wait to meet their mediator.
I think that mediation is a way in which we can get to the heart of the matter, where people can really come to a peaceful settlement, where they can feel as though they have been involved, where they have come up with a solution. They haven't been ordered to do anything. It's theirs, they own it, and they are happy with it.
Elaine Johnson explains the process.
I would ask them to also think about ways to solve or, come to some kind of a decision, what it is that they wanted out of this here meeting.
Mrs. Pelser, what do you think? She's just told you her situation, and she's not physically able to give you $100 a week. What would you like to see happen, or what's acceptable to you?
After finding out exactly what it is that they both wanted, they agreed on it, I would write it up. I'd ask them to read this here agreement that they both made collectively, and then we would all sign it. Hopefully everybody is pleased. And I think I shouldn't say hopefully, because everybody is pleased, because it's a win-win situation.
We try to assist people in coming to an understanding of who they are in relationship to one another, and ultimately they come to know who God is through that experience.
So don't forget, next Sunday is Campaign for Human Development Sunday. A special collection will be taken at all the masses to help the campaign continue to provide its invaluable services. Please be generous.
And speaking of next Sunday, we'll be traveling back to Villanova University for part 3 of our special relationship series with Father Tom Legere. Next week, Father Tom will discuss the similarities between modern psychology and our spirituality.
Send your comments and suggestions to Reel to Reel, 222 North 17th Street, room 907, Philadelphia, PA 19103. Or call us during business hours Monday through Friday at area code 215-668-9842.
So join us next week at Villanova University. Good night.
Good night, and remember, Jesus is Lord.
Travel arrangements for Reel to Reel by Atkinson and Mullen Travel of Media, PA. Phone area 215-565-7070.
Hello, I'm Tim Sears, a coordinator of the monthly Young Adult Prayer Group. We meet this Saturday, November 23rd, and every fourth Saturday from 7 to 9 p.m.
The experience will be new to you, but the young adults bring their enthusiasm, and the Holy Spirit does the rest.
If you are 18 to 35, come and pray with us at the Mercy Sisters Mother House, 515 Montgomery Avenue in Marion.
That's this Saturday. Mark off your calendar and be with us.